What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Awakening World. I'm Love Coach Scott Thomas. I'm your host for the show. In fact, I'm your host for all the shows, and I really enjoy it. And you know, about every couple of months, we do an edition called Authors That We Love. And tonight we have 4 wonderful authors, all of whom have new children to share with us. And so let me show you who's going to be with us tonight. For the first time making her debut on the show, welcome Cynthia Rivard. And coming back again, Joseph Jacques. I will do my best French version of that. Also coming back is Danae, which reminds me that it rhymes with Renee. And you might recall she was sharing with us all about multidimensional reality. And Bob Atkinson, who has been coming onto the show, going all the way back to the Saturday Night Alive for the Global Peace Tribe days. We're going to have a special prayer time with Desiree. And as always, we're going to start the show with a bang. We're going to start the show with our beloved house musical artist, Omashar, who looks mighty. That's a lot of oceans and blue, and that's a beautiful backdrop.
Blue is the color. And welcome everybody who's watching on YouTube, Facebook, Humanities Team, and our other broadcast partners. Yes, it's a blue night. I actually had to find a background to match my shirt, so that's why.
I was wondering if you did the shirt to the background or the background of the shirt, because the two
I had a different background, but I couldn't be bothered changing my shirt, so I changed the background. How about that?
I love it.
Yay. Okay, here we go. This is The New Road, a new beat to a well-worn song. So, Eleanor, up you get.
Just look at us now, waves of inspiration filling our lives with boundless joy. We're speaking our truth, basking in the pure light. Disguise, Show your starry eyes, open up your heart, be with me. Truly we're divine, let your spirit shine. I am one within you and I love you so. I love you so. We're here on the new road, where air is so much clearer, creating a world of ecstasy. Surrounding us is true love, filling empty spaces. Rejoice in the word unity. Take off your disguise, show your starry eyes, open up your heart, be with me. Truly we're divine, let your spirit shine. I am one within you and I love you so. I love you so. Take off your disguise, show your starry eyes, open up your heart, be with me. Truly we're divine, let your spirit shine. I am one within you and I love you so. I love you so. La-dum, bum-ba-da-dum, ba-dum, bum-bum-bum, ba-da-dum, ba-dum, ba-da-dum, 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 ba-dum.
We are going to gallery view to give a big twinkle and appreciation.
Yeah, and that had a mystery ending. I I put a new beat behind it before I got on the show, and it got unbeaten, and so I was beating time there.
Sure, I was like waiting and waiting and waiting. It's like, well, yeah, but as the song said, we love you so, and we do love you so. Thank you so much, Amashar. And we'll be back with 2 more songs tonight. Well, it's my pleasure to introduce a new friend to the Awakening World, and welcome Cynthia Rivard. Since you're new here, I'm going to read just a little bit about you because I'm getting to know about you myself. She is a spiritual teacher, a channel, an environmental advocate, and author of 2 books, Hope for a New Era and A New Breed of Leader. We can find all things Cynthia Rivard at her website, which is her name, cynthiarivard.com. And that includes how to measure and raise your frequency. So I'm going to put that in the chat box. But for those of you who are watching on Facebook or YouTube, and by the way, welcome everybody. We appreciate all of our people watching. Here is her website. Again, it's cynthiarivard.com, RIVARD.com. Well, Cynthia, I think most of us definitely could use more hope right now. And many of us probably could use a new breed of leader. Yeah, I would say so. So, tell us a little bit about both books. What do you want us to know about each one of these children of yours?
I love to. Thank you so much. And I'm delighted to be here. And someone just said in chat that by my bio, it sounds like I belong here, and I feel like I do. It's lovely energy, and I really appreciate the invite. Really quickly, because it relates to the books, a little about me beyond the bio.
Hmm.
I was in executive leadership for decades and came into a spiritual awakening what I considered very late in life. I was asleep uh, all of my life until maybe about 5 or 6 years ago. I started getting curious and following the breadcrumbs. And it turns out that was very intentional. It was my path at the time and not to awake until very recently. And I mention that because I had a lot of preconceived notions about intuition being a gift that I just wasn't given. I missed that boat. And, I would hear people talking and lean in and think, oh, that'd be great, but that's not me. I'm too old. That's not me. I don't have that gift. And anyway, long story short, I just love to point out to people that learning how to tap into your inner knowing or your intuition, understanding that you're receiving that communication is how I was taught by my inner knowing to define a spiritual awakening. And that communication's available to all of us, but it's a skill that we have to develop. So mine came bombing in fast, and I quickly became crystal clear in the channeling I was doing. And I was told that I was going to do a lot of pivoting and write a couple of books. I channeled both books, and I honestly had no desire before this to be an author because, well, I didn't think I wrote well, but when the words are flowing through you, it's not hard. So here I am, and I'm excited. The first book is really it's written from a spiritual lens, but it's not uh, about spirituality. It's really about taking action to manifest what New Ageists call the New Earth, this new era or next chapter of evolution. We need to start taking action, following our inner knowing, our divine guidance, taking action to help co-create it because the time is now. So that's the first book. And I talk a lot in there about path and purpose. So I just wanted to share my very late in life blooming and pivoting, because I think anyone that's called into the spiritual space is here as a volunteer to help with this evolution. That's what I've been guided to know, and many have not fully awakened to all of their skills and the path that they're ultimately going to be on to help humanity evolve. So anyway, that's the first book. I'm sorry, do you have a question?
Well, I just want to kind of riff on that for a quick moment. As Carol Craig just wrote in the chat box, she says that she really appreciates those who come later because they're even more relatable. And it's an ongoing process. We're all awakening in our own way, our own timing. It's not like a light switch that just flicks on. It's a rheostat as opposed to a light switch.
It's a skill, and the more you use it and connect and learn to trust, the more amazing it becomes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so let's get back to your books.
Yeah, I know we don't have a lot of time here. Well, so the second one, I was just finishing and getting my head around trying to get the first book out into the world. It was released in June, and my guidance came in and said, we need to do another one ASAP, and it's not going to be spiritual because we don't want that gate of people who aren't ready for spiritual content. This word needs to get out. So the second book is really about personal leadership. It's the what's it called? Subtitle on the book is A Guide to Healing Humanity and Peaceful Revolution. And it was brought about just because things are, it's just deafening, the roar of chaos and turbulence and everything that's going on in the world. And a lot of people feel really overwhelmed and disempowered because if you ever watch the news, which we all do now and then, it's just overwhelming. But we don't hear the good news. It's all not so good news, and there's a lot of pain and suffering in the world. And so the book is about, first of all, fostering understanding and compassion, because the more you try to understand those other people, the easier it is to broker consensus and peace. So I talk a lot about instinctual programming and human conditioning and how we've gotten to this point and why so many people are making such bad choices, because that's all it is. Some people think, oh, there's this evil in the world making all of this happen. Well, it's human choice. It's not divinity's will that we would have created what we're in right now, but they are with us to guide us out of the mess. We just have to tune in, trust, and start taking action. So anyway, I talk a lot about building compassion and creating peace, which I know everyone here is all about. It starts with each of us nurturing that inner peace and compassion and leading by example, because we all have influence with the people that we interact with in our lives, and understanding how much positive impact we can have in our daily interactions. We lead by example and start that ripple effect. So it's really trying to empower people in this turbulent time.
What are some actions that you recommend for people?
Buy the books. So sorry.
No, that's fair. That's a good response.
Well, there's a series of them. If we go back to the more spiritual lens, the best thing any of us can do is really hone that guidance that wants to come in and help us through this mess. And no one person is going to fix it, and we all have different paths and different ways we can contribute. But to be able to take the right action at the right time, we need that inner guidance leading us. So doing that, working toward raising your frequency, which I do have a free resource on. But as we raise our frequency, and the human emotional frequency scale expanded exponentially a couple of years ago. So there's our frequencies want to rise, but a lot of times we get emotions trapped, heavy emotions trapped that will keep the frequency stuck. But as we raise our frequency, we get to experience more of the happier emotions more often, and it becomes easier to connect with our inner wisdom, because divinity operates at a much higher frequency. So the higher your frequency goes, the easier and more clear your guidance becomes. And then when you reach your highest ascension point, which is the highest frequency that you are able to get to in this lifetime, then your divine aspect or inner wisdom will help raise your consciousness. And it's that raised consciousness that really is creating or helping us create this next chapter of evolution. When we're all operating from raised consciousness, there will be peace. There will be compassion and helping each other, and it'll be a beautiful world.
What are some of the ways that you raise your consciousness and your vibration?
Because it was my path to help others, my frequency rose very quickly when the frequencies expanded. But what I tell everyone when they're just getting started is to know where your frequency is. That way you'll know if it hasn't gone anywhere in a month or so that it's probably stuck. And then you can check into, do you need to be in a more high frequency environment more often, or do you need to see if you have some trapped emotions that need diffuse so that your frequency can keep rising? Getting out in nature is one of the best things in the beginning you can do to raise your frequency, because nature, and I'm sure that doesn't surprise anyone here, it really feels very connected with divinity when you're in nature. And the frequency of nature is 1 million bioenergy units. So it will help most people. I would say the majority of the planet is under 500 bioenergy units right now. And everyone's highest ascension point is 500 million. So we've got this huge expanse of frequency that we can move through, and we need to get the word out.
Yeah. I'm going to go to your website, and there's a lot going on here. Tell us about, first of all, again, her website is her name, Cynthia, Cynthia, Rivard, RIVARD.com. Tell us about the free resources that you're offering.
Well, you see my YouTube channel's linked there. I've got a whole bunch of stuff there that goes, it's under my nonprofit's name, but it's all me on, you can see my face everywhere. We don't need to look at that right now. But you can explore. I've got a lot of information. It started out focused more on leadership, but now I really go down the cosmic conversation rabbit holes and a lot of personal transformation I talk about. And then you can check out, there's a few other free resources, but I really recommend learning how to measure your frequency. And I give some tips on raising it, because that is where everyone can really take ownership of their own personal ascension journey. There's basically two aspects to this next chapter for humanity. There's our personal evolution, which involves raising your consciousness, but then there's what's going on in the 3D world and turning outward and helping lead by example and helping make a difference in our communities to make it the world we want it to be.
Beautiful. And again, there are two books that we are really supporting: Hope for a New Era and New Breed of Leader. And when you go to her website, you can click either one of those and get more details. So, for example, if you click Hope for a New Era, that takes you right in here. Congratulations on being a finalist in the International Book Awards. And of course, people, you can buy it on Amazon. Just click right there. It takes you right to it. Hope for a New Era, Turning the Tide, Love and Leadership Through Turbulent Times. And when I booked you on the show, it was just so what is needed. And what you said, Cynthia, is really true. What we see in the world, in the news, is so negative. That's why we do this show twice a week, to provide hope and inspiration and alternatives to the really hard stuff that mainstream media is obsessively filling us with. So thank you very much for your generosity and for the wonderful, wonderful work you're doing in our world. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And stick around. Hopefully, I know it's East Coast, but I see some questions coming in. All right, I'm going to do one question right now from Dia. She asks, do your percentages of humans come from your channeling or studies of the global population? And Dia is enjoying your presence. You need to unmute here.
Yes. I'm sorry, you said percentages. You mean the frequencies I was talking about, or I didn't understand the question. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just reading it. Do your percentages of humans come from your channeling or studies of the global population?
Okay, well, I think that probably has to do with the frequencies, what I was talking about, where everyone is, and that's all channeled. I don't know if that's exactly what the question was alluding to, but most of what I share, no, actually everything at this point is channeled. Um, I can't always back it up by scientific studies.
Mm, okay. Well, Dia, if there's more to the question, pop it in there, and when we get to our roundtable Q&A in about 1 hour, we'll get there. And we'll see you then, Cynthia. All right, we are going to go right into our next presenter. You might remember him. He was on the show before, and it is Joseph Jacques. And he is an author of Legends of Creation, A Father's Role in Pregnancy, and A Mother's Journey in Becoming. And that's a 15, that the book, by the way, has a beautiful foreword from Dr. Jean Houston and Dr. Bruce Lipton. And we're going to be talking about, kind of this Legends of Creation workbook that he now has. So welcome back, Joseph. And to help people understand, his work is taking people into how to really be part of the whole process of birthing, going into before conception, going through in utero, and working on healing intergeneral traumas and wounds, and addressing and acknowledging the genius within, which is waiting to find its way to the family and the world. We have to put those on epigenetics, Joseph. So we're big fans of how, what we're really learning about how we do carry the epigenetics of our ancestors going back at least 7 generations. So taking it from there, tell us a little bit about some of your understanding about how to properly prepare for conception and then manage in utero and the father's role there.
Well, thank you. Well, first of all, I just want to acknowledge you, Scott. You've been holding it down for humanity, and it's an awakening in this, just bringing collective intelligence together and honoring, each part of that little drop in the ocean of consciousness and well-being and community spirit. And you've held that torch, and that's just a big deal. And so that's what we really, really need right now is individuals coming forward, us sharing our story, our little sliver, our genius with the world, and how we can be greater than the sum of our parts, right? So again, thank you, Scott, for doing what you're doing. We need you, man. Well, thank you for the platform as well. It's always nice to be able to share who you are and what you're doing. And the story really starts. It starts before conception and it goes through in utero. If you look at a lot of the developmentalists, Piaget or Robert Keegan or James Fowler or Lawrence Kohlberg or any of the greats, and their developmental models all start after birth. And so in all the social sciences and sciences today, even all the, anybody who's using those old models is what they are. They're models that need to start before conception. And simply put, that's what's important for the audience to get is that's important that the mother and father get very, very clear about their wounds and their gifts before conception. So they can have a conversation between them, and it's what we call conscious parenting, right? That meaningful connection that the mother and father have to talk about their intergenerational traumas that were handed to them by their mother-father culture, and not just go trauma. It's real important that we discuss the genius. There's genius that's there that wants to come forward as well. So our intimate relationship between our wound and our gift are critical for healing and growth, as well as understanding what we both fear and love. So we want the Legends of Creation is starts 6 to 9 months before conception. And it's a beautiful work booklet. And it comes with a coach. It meets you anywhere you are, even if you're starting at conception, that's okay. It's really about awakening that part of yourself, that conscious part of yourself that chooses to have that conversation and to get clear with your partner about your gifts and about your wounds. So you can literally, when the child comes in conception, when the child is conceived, Then there is a part of the Learning in Utero, part of Legends of Creation, where their mother and father actually designed the Learning in Utero program over a 9-month period of time, and that comes with a coach as well. So it's nice to have your hand held all through the whole experience. And so we start 6 to 9 months before conception with the coach and with the intersubjective work booklet that is Legends of Creation, and then after the child is conceived, then that starts the in utero part of the lesson plan, which is not designed by me, of course. That's silly. It's designed by the mother and father, and then the coach helps just guide and just kind of inspire the sense of direction that the parents want to go. So thanks for that.
So then here's a preview of your book and of the workbook. Again, Legends of Creation, a Human Legacy Movement. And a couple questions for you, Joseph.
Yeah.
You actually do the coaching, or do you have a team of people that do the coaching?
Now thanks for that, Scott. You just lead right into the next one, psychically perhaps, but Legends of Creation is just a intersubjective work booklet by itself, and the Legends of Creation legacy part of it is our organization teaching midwives and doulas. Anybody who would really like to teach the curriculum, they come on board. It's a 3-month course, and we teach how to teach, and it's a leadership training model. It's beautiful. I'm really looking forward to setting it off. It's been quite some time, and it just kind of getting everything aligned. So, individuals like Jean Houston, who's a good friend of mine, and I've been with her at her side for quite some time. She's my greatest mentor. And when I brought her the idea, she loved it. And I said, would you do a forward, and would you read the book? And she said, for sure. And Bruce Lipton as well. What a beautiful man, what beautiful work he's bringing the world right now. I mean, I think he just got off this big world tour, and he's finally chilling out in Santa Cruz, which he's well-deserved chill out, because you know how it is when you're touring like that. You're a rock star. I mean, you're just going from one place to the next, and it's taxing, all the travel. So it's nice to have acknowledgement from those two scholars, which are mentors of mine, and now have become friends and colleagues. And we're at the very beginning. I don't want to come off as this is a done deal. There's going to be, Legends Creation 2.0 and 2.1 and 2. Things always going to, just like life, it's always going to be in beta. We're always going to end up growing with it, right? That's just the nature of a growing, living philosophy. I mean, we're here to cultivate and to collaborate and to find our collective intelligence and to find how our coherence is just an alignment for healing humanity. And I feel that is your demographic. It's like Jean Houston would ask us 2 questions: 1, what map are we using? And 2, what was the story that influenced you to use that map? And so through the spirit of Legends of Creation, it really started. I know you that know this, Scott, but perhaps the audience doesn't. But for the last 16 years, I've been working with the homeless through an organization called Harmonic Humanity. And we created jobs for the homeless through art and music. And so we had our last album that the homeless were selling on the street featured Jason Mraz, Michael Franti, Maroon 5, and Sarah McLachlan donating their music to our compilation where they that's a beautiful image. That's a collage of just all the fun and the joy that Harmonic Humanity was. We distributed 33,000 CDs. They earned about $500,000 for themselves. We gave out grants and through Harmonic Humanity. I produced a show with Jason Mraz at the Fillmore, which is a cool thing. But that's not the reason and you please go there. There's these 8 videos that are just absolutely beautiful and beautifully produced and edited, and you'll just have a great time on that site just to go through. But while I was on the street, Scott, I have 1 foot in the world of birth psychology and 1 foot in the world of humanitarian action through working with homeless on the street and providing jobs. I saw, as you imagine, lots of addiction, lots of mental illness, lots of trauma. And I started to ask the question, after building some rapport, well, what was your family life like? And brother, it wasn't even, it was like, 8 times, 9 times out of 10 that there was trauma in the family dynamic, and so it started me down this road of if I'm going to reduce homelessness, I don't think you can ever end it, because I think there's those people who just, instinctively just want to live by the river on the, by the under, near the river, by the tree, they've done it for quite some time. But there are those that are traumatized, and we want to get to the root of that, and we want to dissolve it to some degree like salt and water. So we really want to get to the root of that. When we get to the root of that, which I'm doing with Legends of Creation, then we can actively begin to start the process of ending the cycle of victimization and getting clear about the genius that wants to come forward, and the wound that wants to teach. That's what the wound wants to do. The trauma is there; it's there for a reason. We want to learn from that. We want to grow, and we want to move forward that which is beneficial, and that which was learned, we want to pass on to our tribe and say, hey, here's what we've learned, and here's how we're growing, and this is what we're up to. So the human legacy movement is just that. It's there is a book, there is a movie, which the script is written, called Birthing Humanity, which comes from the book Legends of Creation, and then there's a study that actually comes from that, which is called the Healing Project. So it's basically and you can check out that features Victoria Reynolds, who got a job at doing something she loves, but we started the mission together, and basically it was going to be a podcast and a film, and I still very well might do the podcast, but again, it's a beginning conversation of what Birthing Humanity is all about. And the script itself is a story of 2 genius couples, Emma and Jake Love, and Emma is a cognitive neuroscientist, and Jake is a social worker working with homeless pregnant women. And they're in love, but they have trauma in their family, and they're both really smart people, and they realize that they've got to do something to heal the trauma before conception. And in the script, in the story, how the story goes, they meet me. I'm teaching at University of San Francisco. I'm hosting a big workshop, and there's like 300 people there, and so they go on their journey of how to heal themselves and how to have that conversation with humanity about what it is. How do we actually birth humanity? And it starts from the inside and goes out. We can't fix on the outside what's broken on the inside. So we've got to start from the absolute inside. There's another quote. I love Jean. Jean's one of my favorites, of course. And she says, the patterns of an emerging sacred psychology are offered in the knowing that as we go inward, we can access the depth structures of our being and build bridges to the great archetypal realms wherein lie the dynamic designs that form and reform our reality. And so with that quote, it's inside, and it's an inside job. So that's where we start, and we build the architecture to hold humanity's hand into the next version of themselves, that heroic journey that leads them into a transformational process that says to them very simply, you are the person you've been waiting for, and you are the central figure in this beautiful play called life. And if you're choosing to bring a child into the world, start to have the conversation before conception, and have a conscious pregnancy, and get into conscious parenting. And Legends of Creation is a great place to start. So you can go to thecast.us. That's my main core website, and in there, Cast is a storehouse for stories, and you can see Legends of Creation all the way to the right. Click on that. You can find out all kinds of fun stuff about the book, and you can find out, if you follow me on Instagram, I am Joe Everything 1111 on Instagram, and you'll see me playing music.
Slow down. You're going way too fast. So take a breath, because there's no way people. I'm desperately trying to track you here, so let's slow down a moment. Let's go back to the cast. If you go to thecast.us, and then I see here on the right is Legends of Creation. So that's the best place for people to go to learn more about what you've been talking about today, yeah?
That's true. That's the Academy piece. The piece that's above that, just Legends of Creation, where the book is, Scott. So if you just tap on Legends of Creation, you'll get that's it. Just that's the Academy. But the one above it is is the book Legends of Creation, just the tab itself.
Okay. Right. Right
Yeah.
here.
And yeah, and you can find out about it. Go down the rabbit hole, have some fun. And if you'd like to contact me, please do. I'm up for having this conversation. And it's an exciting time. I feel we're at a very edge of a very high and beautiful wave. And you guys, everybody who's attending is just a testament that people are longing and thirsting for an experience that feels true to them on the inside. And it's time, you can feel it. It is wonderful.
Well, thank you.
So I got a question here. How many kids do you have? So the irony is that I have been praying for my beloved, and I have my spirit children that I've just in a very fun way have named Jack and Aaliyah and Joseph. And so I'm preparing myself for fatherhood. And so when the time does come, when I am blessed with my beloved, that I am a prepared man, that I have taken my time to do the work that of bringing a curriculum in that can support a family dynamic that's whole. I feel that we're here to help humanity remember what it means to be born into wholeness. Yeah. And so that's where it's at, and that's what's going on. I know, I'm sorry I get excited. It's funny when somebody asks you what you love to do and then you just go shut the heck up,
Well, it's beautiful, the work that you're doing. And, thank you very, very much. And I hope you don't mind me slowing you down, but you were just going so fast. And
thank you. No, thank you, Scott. I it just starts to bubble up, and next thing you know, I'm going on and on and on.
You're excited. You have a lot. Clearly, there's a lot that you're doing, a lot that you're sharing, and it's. I hold the vision for the tremendous success of your work. Really, it's a powerful. It's really a very new paradigm. It's very awakening world. And I also hold the vision for you to find your perfect beloved, to bring those children in. Absolutely. Stick around for the Q&A. We are going to go to Omashar and his dance partner, Desiree, for our mid-show tune. And then we'll be back with Bob Atkinson and Danae. But here is Omashar.
Flowers grow, dripping with dew, and rivers flow in sapphire blue. I suddenly know what a fall God I knew. I'm a tear that's lost fear of the ocean. And when autumn sun kisses my cheek, whilst cool winds come from mountains peak, with poems on my tongue, but no wish to speak. I'm a tear that's lost fear of the ocean. I'm a tear that's lost fear of the ocean. The sweet water, when I give you my heart, I already start to feel better. My sweet water, won't you send me your love? Forever and ever and ever, forever and ever and ever. When tender hands trace memories where powdered sands meet temperate seas, I don't understand but I love mysteries. I'm a tear that's lost fear of the ocean. And when evening stars shine all around, my grieving heart's no longer down. And things that were lost, that's where true hope's found. I'm a tear that's lost fear of the ocean. I'm a tear that's lost fear of the ocean. Sweet water, when I give you my heart, I already start to feel better. Sweet water, won't you send me your love forever and ever and ever? Sweet water, when I give you my heart, I already start to feel better. My sweet water, won't you send me your love forever and ever and ever? Forever and ever and ever. I'm a tear that's lost fear of the ocean. I'm a tear that's lost fear of the ocean. I'm a tear that's lost fear of the ocean.
Love that song so much. So beautiful. So beautiful. And a reminder that we can get Omar Shah music at Bandcamp. If you go to omarshah.bandcamp.com, that's where you'll find his children, his beautiful creative expressions. And it's a wonderful way to listen to Omar Shah 7 days a week, not just.
And also, my children are in every port. So there it is.
Exactly. Beautiful. Thank you. Well, I am going to bring up our third author. And Bob, I apologize. I actually mixed up the order in our agenda. I'd originally had Bob coming on second, and I got so excited that I accidentally brought Joseph up instead. So thank you for your patience. But Bob is a dear friend. He's, of course, a member of the Evolutionary Leaders Network, and one of the hardest working guys I know, and I know a lot of hardworking guys, but he is somebody who really is always writing new things and creating, and just a most beloved member of the Evolutionary Leaders Network, by the way. I just have to mention that. A little bit more about Bob. He is an award-winning author, and an internationally recognized authority on life story interviewing, personal myth-making, and soul-making. He's the co-editor of Our Moment of Choice, which of course is the book that kind of is the anthology book for the Evolutionary Leaders Network. And he's also the author of The Story of Our Time, From Duality to Interconnectedness to Oneness. And that was a 2017 Nautilus Book Award winner. But he's back with new books, new creations, and that's why he's on the show tonight. So welcome back, Bob, and please tell us about your latest creation.
Thanks so much, Scott. And Omar Shah, it's great to be with you again on your show. And Cynthia and Joseph, it's great to learn about your work. So yeah, there are a few things I'd like everyone to know about my latest book, which is my 12th book. It's called The Way of Unity, Essential Principles and Preconditions for Peace. The first thing that I'd like everyone to know is about this book is that it offers a unitive worldview that provides hope, optimism, and encouragement for divided humanity. The Way of Unity invites us to imagine a world where every person feels seen, valued, and connected, a world guided by compassion, cooperation, and partnerships. This book is a guide to discovering something greater than ourselves a growing, expanding, organic renewal process aligned with evolutionary forces. So the way of unity is very much about our topic for tonight, which happens to be relationships between each other and the earth. And I'll come back to that a little later. But the three main themes of this book are: first, the inherent natural order of the universe is wholeness, unity, and peace. Second, there are unitive principles that reflect and support this wholeness. And third, there are already thousands of communities worldwide that are striving to restore the world to wholeness by applying these principles, utilizing a model of social action based on a collaborative learning process. So a little more about each of these themes. A holistic vision of the universe and all things in it allows us to better understand and appreciate a universe conceived in love, unity, and wholeness. From this, we can see how biology mirrors cosmology. The workings of the universe express an innate organic harmony, unity, and balance. The human body, likewise, is a marvel of diverse cells and organs designed to function in perfect relation with each other to maintain their inherent harmony and well-being. So looking through the lens of wholeness, we see that unity and peace are the natural state of creation. Second theme, we have a set of unitive principles that reflect, support, and maintain this wholeness. The emerging unitive age is the culmination of an evolutionary flow brought about by periodic leaps of consciousness throughout humanity's history. Since the mid-19th century, many human rights advances have occurred, from the end of slavery to women's rights to the ongoing civil rights movement and beyond. These have spawned a growing awareness of the need for unitive principles to heal the ills of a divided humanity. A few of the 9 unitive principles detailed in the book that will lead us to world unity and world peace are unitive consciousness, which is consciousness that brings about unity by understanding that all things in the entire universe are one, a grand wholeness in motion. Unitive justice, which is justice that brings about unity by maintaining community solidarity on all levels and eliminating all forms of prejudice. Unitive economics, which is economics that brings about unity by eliminating the extremes of poverty and wealth, making prosperity for all attainable. Unitive narratives are narratives grounded in unitive consciousness that bring about unity by validating and supporting the unity and diversity of humanity and all life. Unitive education is education that brings about unity by seeing all knowledge as a reflection of a greater wholeness. Unitive relationships are relationships between all beings that bring about unity by recognizing gender equality, the innate potential of children, and the sacredness of all life. And unitive global governance is a global governance system interconnecting all strata of society by the same set of organizing unitive principles that sustain world unity. As the unitive age continues to unfold, we'll see these unitive principles are the building blocks or preconditions for a more just and peaceful society. And it's really quite remarkable in such divisive times that thousands of communities worldwide have been nurturing patterns of coherence to build strong, vibrant, and inclusive communities by applying these unitive principles in their everyday lives. The Baha'i world community, with an estimated 8 million members, constitutes quite possibly the most diverse organized body of people on the planet. In more than 100,000 localities in virtually every country worldwide for over a century, along with their friends and neighbors, they have carried out systematic social action initiatives to advance society toward a world consciousness which must underlie an eventual world civilization, striving to achieve the common goal of creating conditions for a culture of peace in their own community and throughout the world. Now, if I have another minute or two, I'd like to dig a little deeper into the topic for tonight. I just mentioned one of the unitive principles being unitive relationships. I think of these as relationships that bring about unity. Unitive relationships are what hold the world together. They maintain the inherent harmony and balance between all things in all settings, from family to community to national and global interactions. The many ways we relate to each other and all other life on the planet determines the fate of our existence. Realizing the harmony of all relationships opens up opportunities for all of humanity to experience the hidden powers of cooperation, love, and unity in action. Unitive relationships are a precondition for the realization of the unity of the human family and of world peace. Unitive relationships include those that express gender equality, those that nurture the innate potential of children and youth, those that honor and respect the inherent diversity of the human family, and just as importantly, humanity's harmonious relationship with nature and all living things. There's more that I could say about each of those parts of unitive relationships. Should I take another minute or two to go through
Yeah,
those?
you can, but I want to just for a moment riff on with you, Bob,
Yeah.
that your understanding is exactly what the awakening world is all about. Your understanding of the unitive narrative, which our mutual friend and colleague Jude Curvin has done such a beautiful job of describing and made that wonderful video. I should probably find it and pop it in the chat box. But your books, your understanding really anchors in certainly my vision for the new paradigm for what I like to call the awakening world. And I do want to take a minute, and we'll come back to you and you can share what else you got time. We're okay. But I want to also point out Bob's main website, which is his name, his full name, robertatkinson.net. And he has a beautiful oneness pledge. And I want to take a moment to read it because it's very beautiful. And as I read it, I encourage everyone to just hold this vision. The idea is that in all of our thoughts and actions, we pledge to look on all things with the eye of oneness. And the pledge is, we live in a time of spiritual renewal. The greatest challenge of our time is recognizing the oneness of humanity. This requires the abandonment of prejudice of every kind: race, class, color, creed, nationality, gender, economic status. Anything that enables a sense of superiority of any kind. Join the global movement of our time, building a culture of oneness by taking this pledge. And especially given certain current political leaders, this pledge and this vision is so important, Bob. So I wanted to just really encourage everybody to know about it, take it, and I'm going to put this in the chat box and turn it back over to you, share whatever you want to share.
Thanks, Scott. Yeah. I'll just quickly mention too that on the top of the homepage of the website that you're just looking at is a short, actually a micro short video that gets to the heart of the book as well, and that was a an award winner in the micro short category of the Illuminate Film Festival earlier this year. But I guess I can stop there for now. If we have more time for during the Q&A, I might maybe then, if others are interested, I could go into more detail about each of the elements of unitive relationships
I think that's
on
good.
gender.
And I will also show that video, that short little micro short video. I'll show that during our roundtable discussion.
Great, great, thanks.
All right, so I've put into the chat box all about Bob's website, but again, one more time, it's robertatkinson.net. That's where you can find out about all of his books. Unbelievable the number of books this man has written. But here's the one that we're talking about today, The Way of Unity. You can learn all about it and all of his other books by going to either the Way of Unity website or robertatkinson.net and then just click on books. And unbelievable how prolific you are, Bob. It's amazing. It reminds me of Bob Dylan was asked, how do you write so many songs? And he said, I don't write them. I just write them down. And I'm wondering if it's kind of like that for you. You, in a sense, kind of channel your higher self to create all these books?
That's a great question and a very interesting example that you gave of Bob Dylan's response to that. So for me, for me, it's not one or the other. It's a combination of both. And I couldn't write it down if I didn't consciously know that I needed to cooperate it with and be a partner to what I'm being given, from whatever source it might be coming from. So the whole writing process for me is definitely a collaborative process and a partnership in the real highest sense, in that I recognize the responsibility for me as a creative artist to understand my partnership with the creator in order to create what I may have the opportunity to do as an individual here on Earth. So it's definitely a collaborative process.
Beautiful. Well, we'll be back with you in just a little bit for our roundtable discussion. Thank you very much, Bob, for your incredible dedication to our awakening world and to doing it in a unitive narrative kind of way. Thank you very, very much for that. And I'm now going to bring up our final presenter tonight. It is Danae, and she is a multifaceted psychic who specializes in reincarnational trauma and reincarnational karma, animal communication, and medial intuitive abilities. She's been on the show before. She's brilliant. And welcome back, Danae.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Now, in your case, yours is actually a story that's part of a larger book. So tell us a little bit about your story and then the book that people can actually get.
Yeah, so the book is called Awakened Hearts, and it's the second edition. So if anyone in here is familiar with what was that book? It's Chicken Noodle Soup for the or Chicken Noodle Soup for the Soul. Is that what it was?
Yeah,
Back in the day?
chicken noodle soup for the soul. And then they did like a ton of extra ones. They've got, chicken noodle soup for the teenager, for this, for that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like that, but for awakening. It's everyone's awakening story. And so I am really grateful I got to be part of this book. It's really with a really wonderful company. They're called Awaken Magazine, and they just do a lot for the spiritual community. I really believe in their work and their message and their intention. And so when they said that they were doing this book, I said, sign me up. And, my story, first off, everyone's awakening journey is so different. And that's what I loved about this book is giving different perspectives, because I feel like people often want their story or their experience to look a certain way, and oftentimes it's not, right? And so a lot of, judgment or shame, anger, disappointment, all these things can kind of come up when someone's going through an awakening. And, it's not always a pretty process. And in my case, my awakening started at a very, very young age, and included a lot of trauma all the way down from when I was very, very small child. And, I understand it now because of what I do for a living, helping people through trauma and karma and all this stuff that is not just stuck in time, but through their multidimensional stories. And, that was a big part of my journey, is almost becoming immune to trauma, which it sounds awful, but it has allowed me, oftentimes when we're in the hot seat, so to speak, we don't see the whole picture and we feel like, this is horrible. Why is this happening to me? And I was really someone that I didn't allow it to break me. And I really allowed it to move me, sculpt me, build me. And I created this resilience in myself and this drive and this desire to really understand so many things, including people, the human experience, trauma, all of this stuff. And I'll always say I've been just this massive studier of humankind and life on Earth. And so through my experiences, it's helped me so much because now my business revolves around helping people overcome, their own traumas, but helping them understand that trauma isn't something that's just stuck in time. Helping people understand, okay, if this happened to you, these big events, you know, oftentimes I would say most of the time, if not every time, this is the genesis of what you've experienced is from a different life. It's from, or a different version of yourself. There's all of these things that can bleed through into your now. And so I also just help people understand their multidimensionality, right? That you are not a victim and that you did choose your circumstances, your family, all these things. And so that's a huge part of my story, is awakening to all of that and putting all these pieces together. And I wouldn't have been able to do that had I had different circumstances. And so, I really find it empowering to, it's difficult because when you're in a hard situation, it's really easy to shut down. It's really easy to, kind of want to surrender and give up, wave the white flag, so to speak, and just I'm quitting. I'm giving up. But there's this beauty, these gems that are birthed through difficult times. And I feel like part of my awakening journey was understanding that for myself and understanding, my guides one time said, well, why do you choose to suffer? And it's like, okay, you're right. I could be in a really difficult situation, but having that frame of mind and that attitude and that outlook on it, I don't have to suffer. I don't have to sit in my own mess or sit in this sorrow or shame or whatever it would be, right? And so really using it as an empowering tool to help me, climb up the ladder or the mountain, right? And really honor my process and honor my stories. And because of my journey of awakening, I've been able to help a tremendous amount of people. Because it's one thing to go to school, I'm not knocking school, but there's a lot of indoctrination in a lot of these places. And I think when you're dealing with people and healing and helping people really transmute pain and things like this, and I think it's very important for people to feel like they can relate to you, that they feel your compassion and they feel your heart and they feel your sincerity and your intention. I feel like a lot of people who've been in, no offense, but gotten degrees through school and memorized scripts and memorized books, there's been this lack of compassion in the field when dealing with people and dealing with trauma and counseling. And this is obviously not for everyone, but a lot of it, and I can say that because I've also experienced that. And I just always told myself I never want someone to come into my door and feel sidelined and feel they're not important or not validated or that I don't see them. You know what I mean? And so my broad spectrum of my life experiences has really gifted me a toolkit to where it doesn't matter who comes through my door in some way, shape, or form. I could say, I've been in your shoes, let me help you understand or help you to the other side. And I feel like there's been that missing piece in, we say therapy. There's so many different ways to help people heal. But I just feel like there's just been this missing point of therapy. Traditional therapy really keeps you stuck in time, and it keeps you stuck in this victim mentality. Oh, this happened to you. oh, your mom did this, or your sister did that. It boxes you in and it limits you from experiencing something so much more beautiful and grand. Because if we choose our family and we choose our circumstances, our traumas, our jobs, our children, our parents, all this stuff, that's a much bigger session, that's so much more empowering in my point of view. And that was such a gift for me through my awakening journey, was being able to piece all these pieces together and create a roadmap for people who sincerely feel lost, or on their last legs, so to speak, and not knowing what to do. And so that has been very rewarding for me and very empowering, and understanding the different dualities again of trauma. And trauma is stored in stone and bone. It's stored in dates and geographical locations. It's stored in astrological events. Like, there's so many different ways you can look at trauma. And I love that we're at a point with humanity where we can really expand on this, because I feel like people are now finally being given the tools to heal, where everyone in some way, shape, or form has been stuck in time. And I feel like now people are able to really break these cycles, really understand a bigger picture, really be even open to it, right? For so long, people weren't even open to this kind of stuff. This is juju magic, this is a no-no. And so I really am grateful that, we have these opportunities to give people a different way, a different belief system, and create an expansion that I really feel like a lot of people have been starving for, outside of even starving for truth, right? I think someone said that earlier, and I totally agree with that. And people are grasping for these new things, and technically they've always been here, but now there's just this beautiful openness for people to really receive and go to the next level of their evolution, whatever that looks like. And so my awakening journey was a lot of learning all of that. And so that's part of my story, and how I got from point A to point, I would say Z, but I don't feel like we ever have a finishing point, but I do feel like I'm grateful. And I also want to add that, because again, everyone's journey looks so different. And, society does really good job at, you should be ashamed of yourself. Oh, don't talk about that. Shove it under the rug. You should be embarrassed. And it's like, actually, this is those big things that have those big, the big emotional responses in the body. Those are the things that you've probably been eagerly trying to work out for lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. So when you come to a point where you are finally breaking out of a cycle, or maybe it's a relationship, or whatever that looks like, that is something to be celebrated. And part of my story too is normalizing the not normal, right? And having people feel more comfortable in themselves and shamelessly to talk about their stories. And as a society, everything has just been so bland. Like, everything is so, how does it look on the outside? No one really addresses how it really is on the inside. And so I really want to normalize that, so people can actually not just connect with others, but connect with themselves, and give them the courage to do that. And so I feel like that's really important. I feel like if we can just have so much more of that as a society, it would be so much easier for people to move through things, because there's that support there, right? There's that just automatic support. And so, yeah, that's a long story short, but I'm grateful for that. So,
Danae, I think one of the reasons that I keep having you come back on the show is I really resonate with your way of thinking.
thank you.
I never spent a day in college.
I tried really hard, Scott. I was like,
I knew early on that
it.
I went straight into creating, straight into being an entrepreneur. And as a love coach, people say, well, what's the difference between love coaching and therapy? And I think you relate to this and what you were just saying. In traditional therapy, God bless those therapists, they've spent years learning how to evaluate and diagnose what's wrong with someone. But then it puts that person into the prison of being diagnosed as whatever it may be. And I always emphasize that I don't think there's anything wrong with anyone.
Yeah.
But what is true is that life is very challenging. And so whether it's you're dealing with the challenge of autism or the challenge of borderline schizophrenia or whatever it may be, rather than seeing it as a diagnosis of something wrong with you, which then keeps you in prison, it's like, no, this is something that is a challenge you've chosen to face in this lifetime for the purpose of growing, healing, and ultimately learning love, learning self-love. So
Yeah. And then you know, when you take it even bigger and you're like, well, why did you qualify for these? Why are these circumstances things that you chose? Do you know what I mean? So it immediately takes you out of that, oh, life happens to me, right? It happens for you. And sometimes people choose challenging lessons in lifetimes because maybe that's what the soul needed to evolve or wanted to learn. There are people who choose to be poor or have a body that doesn't function, or there's all these dualities, but there's no victim in creation. And I feel like that's empowering when you really honor that.
when Michael Beckwith was on the show, this was a couple of years ago, he told a story about a woman that was a close friend of his who had had a child that was born that was seriously deformed, an incredibly hard life, and died at like 7 or 8 years old. And the woman was just like, why did this have to happen? And Michael had this being came to him in a dream to please explain to my mother that I chose this life in this way because it taught her compassion. And it was part of our karmic agreement to help her learn how to break her heart open. And so
Yeah.
Michael came back, told the woman this. She, of course, felt the wisdom and the truth of that. So think about that for a moment, right?
Yeah.
Choosing, loving someone so much to choose to come in and have a very difficult child, short life, just to teach compassion. And I think that there's a lot of truth to that.
Oh, I totally agree, Scott. I really do.
Well, I'm going to bring up our other remaining, Joseph had to leave, but Bob and Cynthia, God bless you both, are still with us. And now is when we get to kind of roll into Q&A. But as promised, to kind of just break things up a little bit, I'm going to play the Way of Unity video from Bob. Here it is. Oh, come on, you can play. I've got it. Huh. Oh, that's interesting. I queued it up. It was all ready to play. Let's try again. What I'm going to do is close it. Sometimes it gets a little ornery here, but I really did download it and save it. So let's try again.
Humanity is going through periods of transformation, leading us to unity, oneness, and wholeness. The confusion and turmoil of our collective childhood and adolescence is giving way to a consciousness of global integration. Humanity's age of maturity is dawning. The next step in humanity's evolution is clear. It is now time to recognize the oneness and wholeness of human relationships, where there is no other left to exclude from the circle of the human family, or from the web of life. We are entering a time when the equality of women and men will be fully realized, when a balance between the extremes of wealth and poverty will be fully realized, when freedom from all forms of prejudice will be fully realized, when harmony between science and spirituality will be fully realized, and when the protection of nature as a divine trust will be fully realized. This way of unity, built on universal love, leads to the oneness of all life.
The moment that started, I realized, oh my gosh, that's our beloved Tatiana narrating it. And Tatiana will be on this show again this Saturday night. So it's all part of one big global family coming together. What a beautiful video, Bob. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott, for sharing it.
Yeah. Well, this is where people, and I know Danae may need to go make supper for her children. So if that's the case, Danae, just I'll notice. Well, we'll say goodbye now then.
Yeah, I got his bedtime routine. I
All
do
right.
love this though, but it's late here, so I gotta get them. They have school tomorrow, so.
All right. Thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, thank you guys so much. I always love tuning in with you guys. It's always such a good group. It's always good vibes, good energy, and I love it.
And real quickly, let me take people to your website because in all of our enthusiasm, I forgot to do that. So very, very quickly, her website is her name, Readings with Danae, and she spells it DENEA.com, readingswithdanae.com. And this is where you can schedule an opportunity to get a reading from her. She does a lot of wonderful work, and as you could tell by what she shared today, she's brilliant. So I strongly encourage everybody to go to readingswithdanae.com, and she'll give you a wonderful reading when she's not putting the kids to bed.
Thank you,
Thanks for being-
Scott. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for being with us.
Bye, guys.
Well, Cynthia, since this is your first time on the Awakening World, I'm going to go to you. Are there any kind of thoughts or comments that you'd like to lead our roundtable Q&A with?
Well, first, on my mind, I just want to say I really love that video of Bob's and his message. And I feel when I heard what his book was about, I was like, oh, that's really aligned with what the message I'm trying to get out into the world. And that's not a mistake. So I like the theme we have going on.
Yeah, I noticed also that both Bob's book, one of Bob's books, and Joseph's books had a foreword from Jean Houston. So again, kind of an intertwining connection. And I think really there is a central set of themes that are coming through that are all about creating our awakening world.
Absolutely.
So let's take a look and see if there's any questions. Ayada, by the way, just in watching the video, wrote such a beautiful combination of Bob's writing and Tatiana's narration. Absolutely. Diara writes, I've been actively working on this in the mainstream public education system in order to bring in integrated wellness and trauma-informed care. I use my degrees and credential to provide credibility. Absolutely. And here's kind of a comment, but then maybe either of you might want to comment on it. Ayada writes, I was on a live online event today with Gabor Mate and Bessel van der Kolk, both trauma specialists, and it's so inspiring to see how humanity is getting beyond the old woo-woo New Age dismissal of the advanced healing arts and seeing and walking this as a grounded path, widening every year and becoming mainstream. We've been struggling in ignorance for centuries, yet so many modalities are now available to support our healing and growth in consciousness. Thank you, Ayada, for sharing that. And Bob, Cynthia, anything you'd like to express around that?
Well, yeah, thanks, Ayada, for that insight into your own experience today. That's really such a gift to be able to understand things like that happen in the moment for what they really are, and to me that just what you've expressed there is showing how I mean it's an illustration and a confirmation of how humanity is evolving, how our consciousness is evolving toward the kind of thing that we've all been talking about tonight, toward a greater, deeper sense of wholeness and harmony and unity. that when we can recognize that happening on a day-to-day, everyday experiential level in our lives, then we know for sure that evolution is progressing toward its ultimate destiny, no matter how long it takes.
Beautiful. Thank you, Bob. Cynthia, anything you'd like to add to that?
Well, it is funny how it all ties together. I think that when you're talking about the, layers of trauma that we come into the world with sometimes from past lives, with the raising frequencies, it's becoming easier for those trapped emotions to bubble up and be able to be diffused. These heavy trapped emotions and trauma that have just been carried for so many lifetimes, the frequencies are helping with that. And it's through that eliminating of those trapped emotions and trauma that we'll be able to continue to raise our frequency and raise our consciousness, and with the raised consciousness all come together in unity, as Bob's saying, and heal the planet and live in peace finally. So it's all interconnected. It's fun to see the pieces coming together like a giant mosaic.
Beautiful. Here's a question for Bob from Susan. Thank you, Susan. She's asking, how can we introduce these principles to social institutions?
Great. And that's because that's so important to be able to get unitive principles to social organizations, and because that's where they need to be put into practice, as well as in our own homes and our own communities. They need to be put into practice in social institutions as well. So that's actually a big part of the reason why in the book I did include a study guide, so that if the book gets in the hands of anyone in a social institution of any kind, and gets to them in any way, there is in the book a study guide to take anyone, whether they're a community within a social institution or a family or a book club or whatever kind of group it might be. There's that study guide is meant to not only introduce the principles, but to show how to dive first, really to dive deeper into understanding where they came from, what they mean, and why they're so important, why they're essential, really, to the evolution of our global culture. So any way that anybody in a social institution can get their hands on the book, there is a built-in study guide there that'll help them become not only more familiar with the principles, but to learn how and why they're so essential to the process of evolution that we've all been talking about. So that's one way. I mean, it's such a big category to try to reach social institutions and people within them, but it's probably the most important of all categories, in society, to reach those groups and those institutions. So I would encourage anyone to, whatever way you can, if you become familiar, however you become familiar with the unitive principles that I was just briefly describing, they're in a lot more detail. They're described in a lot more detail in the book. Any way you can get them to anyone in a social institution would be the first step, and then it's going to be up to them really to hear them, to see them, to resonate with them, and do something with them. But getting them to anybody in a social institution is really a major first step in the process.
DRR writes, yes, Bob, shifting the paradigm, one person, one institution at a time. I have a question for both of you. I'm imagining that some of our audience members have written books or are writing books or fantasize about writing a book. What are some of the realities of being an author these days? On the one hand, I'm sure it's easier to self-publish than ever before. But on the other hand, there's so much out there on the field. What have you found from kind of a getting published, getting seen from a marketing standpoint? What do you have to share with some of our would-be authors that are watching?
I'm going to let Bob answer that question because I'm a brand new author and I can't say I've got it drilled and dialed.
Okay, thank you.
Getting the book done, I was very proud of, but getting it out to the world is the next step.
All right, well, let Bob answer because he's written, is it 12 books, Bob?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. This is my 12th book, and that has been those 12 books have been written over a span of about 50 years, and so as you can imagine, there's been huge shifts in the whole publishing world over that time period. And so, what I did for the book before this and the book before that ends up being totally different than what I'm finding needs to be done now for this book. It's really, and because everything is changing so quickly in the publishing world. You're right, Scott, that there are so many more ways now for people to get whatever they want to write published, whether they want to do that themselves or whatever other way. There are so many more opportunities for that. And at the same time, I mean, what I'm learning now from this latest book that just came out a few weeks ago is that there's so much that's changed that I have to almost relearn the whole process of trying to market my own book. There was a time when you could, if you had the means to put it in somebody else's hands to do that for you. That's still a possibility today if you have the means, but if you don't and you know that you want to try to get your book out as much as you can in the world, there's so much more to learn about how to do that. And from what I found so far in this process now is that everything has really shifted to social media. So that means you have to really learn not only how to get your message into some form of social media, you have to learn about how all the many forms and platforms for social media operate in today. And so it's one, you have to learn one set of rules and protocol, whatever, for Instagram, and maybe another set of rules for Facebook. So it's just, in a way, I think for a lot of authors these days, it's quite a bit overwhelming to try to take it on yourself of getting it out there as much as you can. And there's all new categories of people and ways of getting your book and your message out there. I mean, I just am still in the process of learning about a whole new category that was not in the marketing picture at all, a decade ago. And that's the category of book influencers. I mean, we may know that there are social media influencers, and that's broken down into fashion influencers or product influencers, but there's also a category of book influencers. And to get connected with any of those is a whole process in itself that takes a lot of time and energy. So it's a lot of work. I mean, to consciously take the time and to try to get your message out there. It's not easy, but most authors that are writing today except for the ones that have the ability to publish with the big five in New York or whatever, most other authors today, I think, are writing because they do have a message that they want to get out there to the world. And they know that the world is in the process of transforming itself and they want to be part of that. And so there is a clear commitment there on the part of authors of all kinds these days, but it's a huge challenge to find the way that you can reach your own particular market.
Yeah, thank you for sharing.
There's no shortcuts that I know of yet.
We're going to close the Q&A with a last question. This is from Eleanor Joy. And she writes, I'd love to hear a personal story from each of you regarding a recent awareness that has lit up your soul. So a recent story, something that has inspired you or lit you up. Hopefully each of you can think of something. Cynthia, would you like to go first?
I'm not sure if this qualifies, but I talk a lot about path and purpose and how, you know, when you know you're living your purpose, you can do it 24/7. It's not work. I think that because everything that I have come to know or be aware of since I've started on this latest path and my purpose has just been aligned and a joy because it is aligned. But I'd like to share that when you really trust where that guidance is coming from, the fear dissipates. You know, you don't have fear because you know this is what you're supposed to be doing, even though you never ever would have considered it before. I guess for me in general, the joy of not fearing any of these steps and these directions that I'm being guided in, even though it's been some big pivots, that would be the greatest joy I've experienced through this process.
Thank you. That's a beautiful response. And one more time, you can find both of her new books at her website, Cynthia Rivard, RIVARD.com. And it's a lovely website, by the way.
Thank you.
So definitely want to invite people. And Bob, do you have a response to Eleanor's wonderful question?
Well, that is a great question, and it's easy for me to think of those kinds of awarenesses that have lifted that have lit up my soul. I can think of many of those in my earlier years, like in my 20s or mid-20s, especially the time when I was during a period of time in my life that ended up right where I wrote a memoir about that time that was just filled with moving from one awareness like that to another during that time. But recent awarenesses, I mean, I think so. And that's a really important way to put the question, I think, because we have to think about. I mean, I really see this question as something that it's important for all of us to keep in mind about keeping our awarenesses that light up our soul current and ongoing, rather than just however many years ago it might have. So when I think of recent awarenesses for me, I mean, I guess I have to think first of what's most what's closest to me most recently, and that's the the writing and the release of this book that I've been talking about tonight. And so now that I've gotten it out there, and that people that now that other people are becoming aware of it, those kinds of awarenesses for myself that light up my soul now are when somebody that I don't know, have no idea who, where they are, or anything about them, is able to connect and resonate in some way with the message of the book. So that's a real uh, confirmation for me, obviously, that that I'm writing and putting out there something that's important to other people. And of course, the challenge really there is for that kind of connection and resonating with others, for that to keep expanding and expanding beyond the inner circle of people that we may know, or you know so and that's how that awareness will keep unfolding and continuing, not only recent but into the future as well, as those as more and more people, in my case anyway, as more and more people become aware of and really do resonate with the message that's being put out there.
Well, thank you. It's a beautiful message. And one last time, you can find all things Bob Atkinson at robertatkinson.net. All the incredible books that he's been a part of: The Year of Living Deeply, A Moment of Choice, The Story of Our Time, From Duality to Interconnectedness to Oneness, and the new book, The Way of Unity. So thank you very much, Bob, for being with us. And we're going to roll into this kind of new thing we've been doing every show now, is having time for prayer. And to lead our prayer tonight, I'm really happy to turn it over to Desiree.
Thank you so much, Scott. I'm so happy to be here. And I love the theme for tonight, just unity consciousness through authors.
Yeah.
So absolutely beautiful. All right. So let's begin by just placing our hands on our bodies and taking a nice big breath in through our nose and out through our mouth. We're going to begin by just asking our guides to come join us, asking Source to give us the answers that are in our highest good to know at this time, and just to assist in whatever it is that we need at this time. So going along with the theme today, I'd just like to begin by saying, may we please bring in the energy to align us with the highest unity consciousness we possibly can, bringing in that energy where we align with the self-love, the compassion, the nurturing of those around us, where we know that the energy that we have within us influences those around us in a positive manner, that we bring love and joy into our lives and we spread that to others around us as well. And go ahead and just take a nice big breath in through the nose and out through the mouth, feeling just that energy radiate down us, filling our entire being with that love and the compassion, that unity, that clarity of the purpose that we talked about today, that joy, that happiness, that understanding. Taking another big breath in through our nose, out through our mouth, raising that energy one more time. Very, very, very good. Now, there are programming all around us in our environment, social media, just the vibrations of the energies around us when we're, near electricity and when we're near Wi-Fi, all those things. And I just ask at this time, we release the hold that they have on us. We change it so that we radiate out love and we do not let those things invade our energetic bodies. release any limiting beliefs or programming that no longer serves us and that isn't of the highest divine love and light. One of the things I really got during meditation today was the alignment of that mind and that heart coherence. So I'm just asking that we can bring that in today as well. Opening up that energy of love in the heart, expanding that energy out, knowing that our mind aligns with the love that we spread to everyone around us. And then taking one more breath in through our nose, out through our mouth. Saying words of gratitude, thankfulness, beauty, and joy, and spreading that to the entire world around us. Thank you. Thank you for sharing with us today.
Thank you very much, Desiree. Thank you very much. I so appreciate all your contributions to our awakening world. All right. We're going to close with an Om song in a moment, but I just want to remind everybody, if you have not registered for the new season, registration is open. And if you go to globalpeacetribe.com, click register for the new season, and that takes you to our registration page. And you will get all the Zoom room links to all of our shows for the rest of the year, now all the way through December 31st, 2025. And you can register for as low as $22 for new guests, students, and seniors. And I certainly appreciate all of you in our Zoom room who have registered season after season. It really means a lot to me, helps us to continue to do the show. And for those of you watching on Facebook or YouTube who aren't part of our current season, come join us. We have wonderful shows planned. I'm really excited. We're going to have a show a week from Saturday night as a tribute to our beloved Andrew Harvey. Andrew Harvey will be with us in the Zoom room, and we've got some really special guests who are going to come and give tribute and appreciation to Andrew. So that's an upcoming show. This Saturday night, I don't have the poster yet, but this Saturday night, we're going to be honoring our new generation of wisdom keepers, people like Tatiana Speed, whose voice we heard in narrating Bob's video. So do join the Global Peace Tribe. And the best part of the Global Peace Tribe is you get to hear 2 or 3 songs each night with our beloved Shar, just like this one.
Let me shine a light inside, and I'll show you where your truth resides. Lift your eyes up to the skies, and I'll prove to you that nothing dies. We will rise again, and we'll make amends for what we've done. I know you hear me, so please do not fear me, 'cause I'm here to lift you, restore you to glory, and love you. Your victory, my child, I will welcome. take a different view, and you dream awake, breathe out the new. The world will come alive again as we dance and sing and make new friends. I know you hear me, so please do not fear me, 'cause I'm here to lift you, restore you to glory, and love you and hold you and be your victory. My child, I will welcome you home. Welcome you home. And welcome you home. So let me shine a light inside. I'll show you where your truth resides. The world will come alive again as we dance and sing and make new friends.
Thank you, Omashar. And Karen S. says this is her favorite Omashar song of all time. And Diara reminds us that this Friday is Artist Day on Bandcamp. So everybody put in your calendar to go to omashar.bandcamp.com on Friday. Buy his CDs then, because 100% of the money that comes in goes right back to our beloved Omashar. So there you have it. This Friday is Artist Day on Bandcamp, and I will try and even send out a reminder to our subscriber list because we love Omashar.
Thank you. I love you. You love me. What a concept.
All right. Well, I am going to gallery view one last time. Thank you, Bob Atkinson. Thank you, Cynthia Rivard. And also thank you, Janae and Joseph, and Desiree and Diara, and all of you for co-creating another wonderful Omashar themed awakening world. I'm a little slap happy. I don't know why. I think I'm hungry, actually.
Yeah, I know. I think we always rise and expand in frequency and consciousness when we get together. So by the time we get to the last song, I literally have to pull my balloon down to get into my body to play. We've expanded so much. So
thank you. I think you just saved me because, boy, I'm like mumbling and fumbling and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's time to say good night. I'm going to go get some dinner, and I look forward to hopefully seeing all of you on Saturday night, and have a great couple